Yes, you certainly are, and it's going to be an interesting one as we are now finally in Champion Select. So this is where all of our questions will be answered as to what is going to be the priority for both these teams.
All right, guys, we're going to be going in with Dark Passage taking on Rampage. Remember, Dark Passage, they took out a very sneaky win against Albus Nox earlier on today, and Rampage, unfortunately, falling 0-2 yesterday, looking to take their first win of the day. Straight away, we see the Talia band followed up by that Cassiopeia. Swiffer doing a great job on the Cassiopeia last game. It's a very strong champion in her own right. So far, 2 mid lane focused ones. Have to see what Dark Passage answer with here. An Echo. So we won't be seeing that up in the top.
So nothing too unconventional so far. Interesting that the priority on taking the Cassiopeia away has increased for the side of Dark Passage. They don't want to allow CosQ on something like that. It is where he's had the most success. This was on day 1. And since then, he played the Lissandra, the Vladimir, and he didn't quite have the same sort of success. So Rampage just trying to take CosQ off of one of his comfort picks. And as we mentioned earlier on, Echo has been a big priority for the top laner of Dark Passage. So it's surprising that they would ban that out themselves.
Yeah, very interesting. Must have a different strategy going into this game that doesn't facilitate that pesky Echo in the back. But a Gnar ban will follow from Rampage. So I won't be seeing him on the table. And Shen also. So a lot of solo lane focused bans coming out here.
Very surprising that the Shen ban would actually come out from Dark Passage. Typically something that you would try and force red side to ban, so that you could go for the early pick of it. And something like a Gangplank would be an even better ban for Dark Passage, because then they could look to prioritize the Shen, and there would be very few options for Rampage to pick into it. Looks like, though, they're saying we have other things that are priority. Bear in mind the Gragas is still available, something that has been very popular, as well as the Rek'Sai. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a jungle rotation coming out from Dark Passage right now.
Yeah, like you mentioned, the Gragas, Gangplank, sorry, getting banned away here. So I have to see what Dark Passage pick up first. A lot of very strong champions still in the rotation here, and you mentioned 2 of those top-tier junglers. Which one do they prefer? Because no doubt the other team is going to get the one that they leave up, whether it's Rek'Sai or Gragas.
Well, Dark Passage has played Gragas, Rek'Sai, and Elise so far in the tournament, so demonstrating that they can bring out anything, but the most success they did have on was that Gragas on day 1. So whether or not they look to prioritize that is still up in the air. They're definitely taking their time because they know that Rampage are likely going to take the other of whatever they pick.
Well, looks like they will be going with the Gragas. A couple seconds left on the clock, but hovering that one, no sense for them not to lock it in. And there it is, Dark Passage, like you said, will be getting the jungler that they had the most success on. And Rampage hovering, locking in straight away. Gets that Vladimir and the Trundle. We've already seen the Trundle be flexed down to that support when kind of just putting it, say, hey, he can go top, he can go support, we'll see what you guys answer with. And picking up that Vladimir, usually that means that they can save that last pick for the top lane if they choose to.
Now, the answer for Vladimir is very much the Kassadin. This would be the best pick right now. Cassio is off the board. Rampage banning the Cassio away. Not only was it a comfort pick for CosQ, they've picked away another comfort pick in the form of Vladimir. And the only other thing that CosQ has demonstrated is the Lissandra. So we'll have to see whether or not he looks to prioritize the list, which you can pick into a Vladimir. It is safe. You don't really have that much kill threat, but you set up nicely for your jungler as well because of the utility that you provide. Kassadin and Malzahar are really the next 2 big picks that you want to try and pick into Vlad because they scale just as well as he does, and you can put them into a side lane come the late game and not really be at any real threat of him getting the edge over you.
3 seconds left on the clock. They actually go with the Fiora once again here. So,
interesting.
Like we said, that Trundle is a flex pick, so essentially not completely blind, but only half an idea of what they could be going up against at that top. So they felt good about it last game, so feeling good about it once again. And you mentioned Malzahar or Kassadin. They do end up going with the Malz in the mid, so they're going to have that Nethergrass for the one-man lockdown and see how Rampage answer here.
Well, Rampage are yet to play Trundle in the top, whereas they have played support Trundle earlier on in the day, which means that I wouldn't be surprised to see it come out into the bottom lane. This will allow Rampage to get themselves the counter pick into the top to the Fiora. The question is what they're actually going to pick into it, because a lot of top laners have been banned away, a very lot of the meta top laners, so perhaps we'll see something a little bit unconventional, like the Olaf perhaps could be an interesting pickup, but they're going to hold on to it until the last pick, see what the enemy bottom lane is as they pick their bottom lane up for themselves.
Looks like the Ashe Taric going to be getting locked in here. We've seen Taric kind of shine and crack a few times here. Last game didn't work too well for INTZ, but Albus Nox been making it work wonders throughout the IWCQ so far. So let's see if Rampage can kind of siphon some of that outrageous abilities that Taric has at his disposal. And of course, Ashe, just what more can be said about Ashe? He's kind of been dominating all throughout that bot lane, but So Ezreal do quite well last game as well, so maybe Dark Passage have that one up their sleeve.
Tahm Kench has to be the pickup now for Dark Passage. It's so good into the Ashe. The thing about Taric is he's very anti-team fight. We also now know that the Trundle is up in the top lane, which means that the Taric is going to be supporting out on that Ashe in the bottom lane as well. So Trundle typically known to be actually a very solid pick into the Fiora, or was in the past at the very least.
Sure.
And so he has a bigger spike at the first item relative to the Fiora, so during the early laning phase, he actually has the edge. But again, it's very much about that 2-item power spike where things will swing in the favor of the Fiora. So we'll keep a track on the top lane, whereas the bottom lane now being rounded out. And this could be very unique bottom lane coming out from Dark Passage.
Well, that's our first Nami of the tournament so far, so they're going to be going for a very poke-heavy sustain lane. Chuck on the Tidecaller's Blessing as well, as that arcane shot that Ezreal busts out. It's going to be very difficult for these guys to kite around that, especially considering they have a very low mobility lane. But look at that, the insta-lock Hecarim for the jungle, and Tussle wants to tussle, bringing it out strong.
I am not a fan of that.
Not a fan? Oh, come on, man.
I feel like Rek'Sai and Elise are both open. They'd be much better into the composition. But what Rampage is saying is, okay, we have the Ashe as a form of engage. Now we need a little bit more reliable follow-up. We want to go for more of a team fight-focused composition. And because the Gragas is gone, the next best team fight jungler, they believe, is actually the Hecarim. So it makes sense in the composition that they're trying to set up for themselves.
Sure.
But I think that overall as a pick, it's not the strongest right now. He did receive a couple nerfs on patch 6.15, which over in Europe at the very least, a lot of players are saying, yep, no, he's gone. He has very little priority right now. Nobody really wants to put focus on it, but we'll have to see how Rampage make it work for themselves, given as to how quickly they actually lock that one in.
Because you guys saw on your screen, it's going to be a title fight in the top lane. Elwind, the guy who got the cheeky backdoor last game, versus Paz on the Trundle. So let's see if he has an answer for Dark Passage's Fiora. But Rampage, I do like that they are branching out with their junglers, trying to experiment a little bit here still in that group stage. But they are in a very fickle position here, currently 1 and 2. So they do need to start picking up some of these wins if they don't want to fall further and further down that bracket. So it's cool to see, but is it too risky?
Well, I think that overall it's fine because arguably they have a winning matchup early in the mid lane. They have a winning matchup early in the top lane. And then the bottom, Ashe, Taric against the support of Nami, Ezreal will be very rough for them during the laning phase, but when you have 2 out of 3, you can then have your Hecarim focus his attention to the bottom side of the map. So Rampage, overall, in terms of the map setup, are relatively promising, but we'll have to see how well their early game goes moving forward up against Dark Passage.
Alrighty, guys, you've seen the lineups, you've seen the compositions. Here we are jumping into Dark Passage, taking on Rampage in game number 4 of day number 3 of the International Wildcard Qualifier. Can they deny the ward? Ooh, they don't get it, and a nice volley hitting both the members there. Just looks like they want to do some annoying shenanigans, warding out the Gromp. Not going to allow them to get that one.
So if you are a ranged duo in the bottom, what you want to try and do is invade to prevent them starting from the Gromp, because it's very time-consuming and very difficult for you to do the Gromp yourself.
They started A.
Are they? Okay, we'll get back to that. But in the bottom lane, you typically, if you are the ranged support, you want to try and interrupt the Gromp. You want to try and stop them from doing that because you can't really do it yourself. Meanwhile, the duo of Elwind and Kirei are trying to set up something cheeky, but they get completely spotted out. This is really going to hurt Kirei's clear. Because he started with the E. Not so much with the Fiora. Starting with the Q is absolutely fine during the laning phase. But all right, not entirely sure what strategy they were trying to set up. Maybe go for a cheeky red steal, but unfortunately they do get spotted out. Fortunately, Kirei will still get his level 2 afterwards. I believe he'll go for the W just to help with the wave clear, or the jungle clear even. And now Rampage are going to be forced to start with their red buff to try and in case Dark Passage try for anything sneaky again.
Look, it's funny, starting that A just to be cheeky, and it seemed immediately that the second they went over the wall, El was like, no, I'm just going to walk out of here. But Rogu, he did do a good job of interrupting that Gromp, so Marin and Dara not going to have the XP advantage. They are just going to go into the straight 2v2. Tussle going buff to buff here. He saw that E start, and he's just expecting full shenanigans.
So that's a very interesting jungle path. He may even decide to go for an invade, but it will be very risky because note that the push is already going in favor of Dark Passage's bottom lane. which means that if he decides to go for the invade, he's going to get interrupted, or the collapse is going to come out quicker from Dark Passage's bottom lane. But then you also see a ward coming out from the Vladimir. He's checking out where the enemy jungler is to see if they can track what Kyrie is trying to do for himself. And Kyrie, recognizing the setup, recognize the potential for an invade, is just going to quickly go for his own red buff.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. It looked like they wanted to set up for that with the Hecarim, but looking at bot lane, good wards coming out of Roki to spot out kind of the health and sustainability of the Gragas. They decide against it. Tussle just goes back into farming, does have his buff now. Both hitting level 3 around at the same time here, and pretty much standard stuff from both these guys. Of course, Kyrie trying to go for a little bit of a cheeky with the E-star, but didn't really get anything out of it.
So this is actually quite good for Tussle as well, because we talked about how he's very much about the farm style of play, and I want to track how his itemization goes, because what we see a lot of from Hecarims is trying to rush that Trinity Force, which for me is not the best way to build Hecarim, because it's actually a very cost-efficient method that will, once you get it, is a great power spike, but because you get it at such a long time, the rest of the team has already gotten to a point where they're a lot stronger than you. So the Gragas has already completed one of his tanky items by the time you've got your Sheen and your Phage. So in terms of the jungle effectiveness, you're very delayed in when you can really get involved. So Iceborne Gauntlet for me is the better jungle item because it's a little bit cheaper and easier to pick up, and you also offer that tankiness. So I want to see how Tussle decides to itemize.
Already Kyrie making his way up to the top lane. Paz is going in on Elwind. He does have the advantage in HP, but Kyrie's here and he just wants to take the all-in. A nice flash body slam keeps Elwind safe. He might go back for the lunge, should be getting the first blood off the Vital Proc, and there it is, Dark Passage.
This could not be a better start for Dark Passage. You could already see how this 1v1 matchup goes in the early game. Fought the Trundle, just putting so much pressure down, but Elwind, he played calm. He realized that his jungler was coming up to provide support. Paz was too committed. He knew that there was no way to escape. And what was interesting was Kyrie going for the early flash. What Paz wanted to try and do was flash, avoid the body slam. And to avoid that, Kyrie just went for the flash body slam to guarantee that it would hit and to get the damage down to enable Elwind to then come around and get the kill.
Yeah,
so with the minion wave also pushing towards Elwind, this is actually going to really hurt him as well, because he's going to be able to deny a lot of farm and get a massive experience advantage over Paz as well.
And Paz just straight up not letting him recall at this stage, so trying to at least reset the wave in his favor. But it looked like, he just wanted to trade 1-for-1, get it over and done with. But great stuff from Kyrie. Heads up play to get his top lane of the first blood. And we've seen what Elwind can do when this Fiora gets ahead. So already Rampage feeling a little bit out of sync here.
It is only first blood, so there's still plenty of room to
extra CS as well, though.
But yeah, this is it. This is the problem that Paz had, because the early push was going in favor of Elwind. Hang on a second, because a dive might come out in the bottom.
Kyrie just going from top to bottom, looking for something here. Dara does get tagged by both the Qs from Xenot and Kyrie. Looks like they will just be pushing them off this tower for now. Remember, that first brick worth so much gold that it's just worth the jungler's time to chip out of the way. Now,
this is great for Dark Passage, because we knew that in the bottom lane, Xenot and Rogu would have the push advantage, because they have the range support. It's very easy to bully out the Taric. They denied the Gromp start. Rampage were unable to get the early push to try and mitigate the pressure coming out from the Nami Ez. They ended up taking a huge amount of poke, and then Kyrie is able to just come down to the bottom half of the map, force Rampage back. They get themselves the tier 1 turret, and on the top side, that Fiora is not struggling anymore, because Kyrie was again able to set up this gank. So this is very much about Kyrie, and we wondered how he would perform. Screw the mid lane, forget it. I'm just going to play around the rest of the map, and he's doing a great job so far.
Look, you couldn't ask for a better start coming out of this DP score, but Roki, he might be in trouble, forced to use the Ghost, and Nethergrass just locking him in place, but not long enough. Is able to run his way to safety, and you can see Dara just off on the wings, hanging by, making sure he doesn't get dived here, but Kyrie, he's been doing such a good job of just controlling the map. Like you said, this Hecarim, bit of a question mark around it. He is level 6 now, so he does have very realistic gank potential here. Have to see where he chooses to utilize it, though.
A little bit unfortunate for Korsq, because he had to use his ult preemptively, otherwise Roki wasn't going to be in range, and he could have gotten a bit more lifesteal out of his Q. And because Kyrie didn't have his flash after the gank he set up on top lane, he couldn't actually get the capitalize down. But they do punish the Ghost. Korsq is forced to burn his flash, though, which is quite interesting. Not quite sure how that ended up happening. But regardless, pressure in the bot lane, bit of pressure down in the mids means that Dark Passage can now swiftly move over, take down Infernal Drake, and with a second Infernal Drake on the way, this couldn't really be a better start for Dark Passage.
Look, Dark Passage in an amazing position right now. Tussle, he might be forced to just ult straight in the team. A nice triple stun coming out from Dara, but it is a 3 versus 2, and Tussle, he doesn't have the health to go for it. But here comes Marin, gets the heal just in time, gets the first kill, looking for a second one. Rogue's there, can he get in time? Flashes in, takes out Xenot. Now Rogu has to run away from this one. Rampage answers strong.
Oh my word, Tussle with some very ballsy play right there, because he ults back in on such a tiny amount of health, but he knew his W would give him enough sustain in that many members to keep him alive, to buy time for Meron to come in from the flank and do the damage needed to turn the fight in the favor of Rampage. They get themselves 2 kills, they alleviate some of the pressure, and now those lanes that have been struggling have gotten a bit more gold in their pockets.
Look, that's exactly right. Meron picking up a kill, Roki as well, so they got to be feeling good about that one. Getting a little bit of that gold discrepancy back up. It's only about 1,000 now. And remember, Dark Passage, they got the first brick, they got the first blood, and just look at the bravery of Tussle.
So look at how much health Tussle actually ends up getting back. He buys enough time. He goes back in very aggressively. The heal comes out for Meron, and it was thanks to just really good communication from Rampage to realize what was happening, knowing that they could commit and actually turn that fight around is what enabled them to get those kills. So mad props to Rampage for making the best out of what could have been a bad situation.
Look, if that Gromp wasn't aggroed, I'm pretty sure Tussle would have survived that one.
I didn't want to say that it was the Gromp because I wasn't entirely sure.
It just straight up licked him
But
to
there
death.
was a possibility, yes, that it was the Gromp that actually netted that kill.
But yeah, Dark Passage, they get punished for the aggressive invade. They are still in the lead at this stage, and they do have the Infernal Dragon with another one on the way. Up in the top, Elwind. He's doing a great job, still keeping a consistent about 10 or so CS lead, and Trundle just not going to be able to deal with this Tiamat Fior already. He just can't handle it.
It is that Tiamat that's making Paz's life so difficult right now, because Elwind getting the first blood gold, also getting himself the early item advantage over his lane opponent is really the big reason as to why he's able to maintain this pressure. And now because he has a big minion wave building up, they could look to set up a dive onto Paz. Kotsku roaming around as well, trying to force this tier 1 turret in the top lane, and Paz, he's just going to be forced to back. Tussle is going to set up a play in the mid.
Oh, Ezreal gets hit by the ultimate, and Rogu gets stunned up. He's going to have to flash out of that one, but I think it might be all a little too late. He's getting low. The Hemo Plague, add insult to injury, going to get bursted down by that one. There it is. Roki picks up that, and Rampage, they knew exactly where the DP squad was. They had 3 in the red side jungle, so there's answer mid.
And interestingly enough, DP actually tried to rotate background to the mid lane.
Yeah.
They had an opportunity to set up a play in the top half of the map, try and get something back for losing 2 of their members, but instead they just try and respond to the aggression from Rampage, which was honestly just a really good setup. They had the Ash Arrow, it landed onto the Ezreal, who had no summoner spells. Rogu, he didn't really have anything to help protect his AD carry, other than the exhaust, which, to be honest, was very useful because he just died too quickly.
Yeah.
So fair play to Rampage, getting themselves another pick in the mid, and now they're just sitting on a healthy kill advantage, but still a little bit behind in gold because they don't have any turrets just yet, as we do see DP moving to the top half.
Well, they really want to try and take out Paz here. Uses a subjugate onto Elwind. Here comes Tussle straight in onto Xenot. Look at the damage, but there's a grand challenge. It's been laid down onto Tussle. Paz is quite low, so is the tower. They shouldn't be able to stay under this one for much longer. Looks like the aggression of DP just pushing them off.
Now, Dara, he has rotated to the top side of the map. He wants to try and provide some assistance while Roki and Meron just continue to push in their lanes. But good response from Kotsku to deny the siege coming out from Meron is going to result in Dark Passage picking themselves up a tower advantage.
So I really want to know what they plan to do with this Nami and why they picked it over the Kench, because you said in Champion Select that Kench is the hands down the best option here, and we saw why it would have been good in that mid lane fight earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Xenot gets hit by the ult. Rogu eats him up and walks away. No double kill. But the ultimate at such point blank range, the tidal wave just isn't that effective.
So the thing is, if you're going to pick a ranged support, you're picking it for lane dominance, right? And so the problem that Dark Passage have is they did get a lot of lane dominance, but they're running it with an Ezreal. Ezreal takes a while to scale up.
That's true.
And he's actually not the best at taking down towers. So what Dark Passage should have tried to do is actually keep that bottom lane turret up a little bit longer, extend the laning phase, as we do see a bit of a contention around this Rift Herald.
Dara's only level 5, so doesn't have that key ultimate yet for these early game skirmishes. So they do pull them off the Rift Herald, but no kills coming out.
But this is what you're seeing right now. Ezreal hasn't even completed an item yet now. We don't have time for that because CosQ...
Oh, it doesn't actually get feared back in. So Tussle missing the ultimate. He's going to change it around. Dara doing what he can to keep him healthy. Ezreal not going to land. And Rampage is just going to get the hell out of here.
Zoning arrow, forcing the Malzahar away. Perhaps he just didn't quite calculate the trajectory. CosQ going a little bit too fast. Did have to pop the ghost, so he will end up trading a similar spell. But fortunately, Dara was there to keep his jungler healthy. And speaking of junglers, it looks like he's going to go for that early Trinity Force. And this is the difference you can see right now. Looks like that we are actually seeing the AP jungle item come out from Kirei.
Sure.
And we also have the Sheen and Phage completed for Tussle. So he is level 9. He has been involved in a lot of action throughout the map. He has actually been involved in every single kill the Rampage has picked up. So it's fine for him right now. He's not that far behind his opponent jungler. He's going to hit the Trinity Force at about 15, 16 minutes, which is reasonable for a jungler. And then you will start to see a lot of teamfights being kicked off by Rampage because of how ahead the Vladimir is, because of how strong the Ashe is once she's completed a couple of a bit more AD under her belt. And once you have a Trinity Force Hecarim, I mean, it's just teamfight city for the side of Rampage.
Well, they're going to have to make it work. Like you said, they're investing a lot of time and gold into getting this Hecarim to a point where he's able to contest these high-intensity fights. So once he does get it, they're going to have to. Dragon is up, and remember, it is the second Infernal. Just how important is this to get a second one under your belt?
Well, extremely important. And Dark Passage, they want to try and get this one, which is why they've set up a lot of vision. They've claimed control over the Scuttle Crab, which means that they will know if Rampage move towards that objective, whereas Rampage, they are basically saying, hey, we don't want to allow you to get that second. We want to get a bit of damage amplification ourselves. And so we are setting up for it. You can see a couple of wards, pinks as well, but very few pinks actually in the inventory of Rampage, whereas you can actually see 3 from Dark Passage. So in terms of the priority of that dragon, definitely more so in the eyes of Dark Passage than Rampage.
I mean, definitely prioritizing that vision, denial, and control, where Rampage don't really have much of a means to take a tussle. He's just standing on a ward, so DP know exactly where he is, and with all this pink ward control, they can clear out any vision that comes in. Teleport coming in. There is the Tara ulti, but he gets knocked up immediately by the Nami. They might just be going for the Dragon still here. Paz around in the backside. Can they catch out the Malzahar? Looking dicey.
Not the best teleport from Paz. And note that the Fiora is continuing to push, so all Dark Passage have to do is buy time. They're actually forcing Rampage back, and they may very well be able to get a tower and a dragon for themselves.
This is looking bad. Rampage, they kind of just force it a little bit too eagerly there. Like you said, bad teleport, bad initiate. Kirei just jumps over the wall, resets the fight, and not going to get the tower in the top just yet as Trundle has rotated his way back up, but a lot of damage. Xenon in trouble, does get feed, is able to Arcane Shift out in time. Tidal Wave hits too, but Roku, he's flashed on in, looking for Xenon. He survives on an absolute slither of health. Bad luck, Roki. He's going to have to ghost his way on out of there. There's the ultimate, and he takes out Dara. Sniped.
Ooh, unfortunately, CosQ flashes into all, but it doesn't matter because here comes Elwin.
It's not over yet. Elwin gets the first one. Is he looking for another? Flashes on in, gets the Tiamat proc. That's a double kill for Elwin.
That could not have been any worse for Rampage. They try to contest the Dragon. They try to set up a play, and everything just goes so wrong. Dark Passage, they get damage onto the tier 2 in the top lane. They get themselves an Infernal. They get themselves 3 kills, and now they're going to round things out with the tier 1 turret in the mid lane. So many things going so fantastically for Dark Passage. And very early on into the game, you have to wonder now, Rampage, I feel like you had a window to take advantage of that you have very quickly missed.
Look, all these question marks surrounding Dark Passage now turning into exclamation marks because these guys have been controlling the map from what seems to be the first 30 seconds as the dust settles after that fight. Got themselves a 4,000 gold lead at only 16 minutes in 2 Infernal Drakes, and CosQ going to be picking himself up the blue. But what's the next step here for Dark Passage? They still have mid lane towers down. It's just the tier 2s left.
So you can set up for the 1-4 or the 1-3-1. Fiora 3-0-0. Black Cleaver completed. Tiamat also under her belt. And the moment she has that Ravenous Hydra, no one on the side of Rampage will be able to deal with her. I don't care if you have Trinity Forces. Xehanort goes in.
That's very bold stuff, but Roki accidentally stepping the wrong way. Can't seem to get the stun, and Xehanort just straight up 1v2ing right now. He does have Rogu to help support him. But Roki taking a fight he just straight up couldn't win.
That is a play that you punish if you're Rampage. He
Yeah.
just burnt his escape. He doesn't have his flash. You have the Ash Arrow. Fire it out. You can set it for an easy stun from Dara. You then have the damage from Roki, flank from Tussle, and Rampage just not really seeing these opportunities to punish Dark Passage. And this was something that honestly is just very disappointing because they had an opportunity to try and force a play. They didn't take advantage of it, especially around the Infernal Drake. They should have just come in. They had 5 members to fort. They could have forced the teleport out of Fiora, and instead they didn't end up doing anything. They just disengaged, and then when they do force the fight, they're not in a position to fully commit, and everything just goes abysmally wrong. Now they're sitting at a 4k deficit. Elwin's going to pick himself up the Rift Herald buff at a very efficient time as well. And things just keep getting bad to worse for Rampage.
I love how he just like walks past, sees all 4 members doing it, doesn't even offer to help out, just picks up the buff, goes on his merry way. So yeah, I deserve this. I'm 3-0 right now. I've got myself Black Cleaver, the makings of a Ravenous Hydra. But like you said, Ezreal, if he's Arcane shifting into a Vlad Taric, there's no way he's not going to die.
He should die.
If Summoners available either, and he straight up just turns the fight around, forces the Vlad to be on the retreat here. So Rampage, they're kind of playing with that lack of confidence that we're not used to seeing them have.
All I had in my head was this Bloodlord, walking up to lane like, I will now consume you. And Ezreal's like, have this map! Just throwing maps at him, just like, Gah! And then Vlad, this Bloodlord, being like, no, please, don't hurt me!
He just had no hope. He was probably reading in some old... What's Transylvanian?
Transylvania.
Couldn't decipher the maps that Ezreal
Don't
thrown
ask a
out.
Welshman about geography. I thought that Australia was in Africa the other day, so I mean, I'm really not a good source to rely on.
Look, we're technically both from Wales, though, right? So
stop it.
You should
Stop
know
it
exactly
now.
where we are.
Stop it. In any case, right now it looks like Dark Passage just trying to extend their vision even deeper into the side of Rampage, and this is what you should really aim to do. Something that a lot of these teams throughout the international wildcard haven't really done, which is once you get a gold advantage. Once you realize that you pretty much have taken all the tier 1s, move into the enemy jungler, with your support, and just put wards down. So you can track what the enemy jungler is doing, follow the rotations that Rampage are trying to make. As Tussle, speaking of rotations...
There's the go Zaynot. He might have actually got punished this time around. Roki picks him up, and do they want to give chase? They do have the Onslaught of Shadows available. There it is. Fears 2 members. It's going to be Rogu going back into the fight due to the fear, but doesn't really look like after that there's any initiation potential out of Rampage.
All right, good punish this time from Rampage. It looks like that Zaynot finally getting it a little bit too big for his breaches. Definitely needed a map to get out of that one as an Ash Arrow hit him straight in the face. Easy follow-up from the side of Rampage. They get themselves another kill, but all they're really going to be used this for is to get a bit of vision control around Dragon. Will be spawning up in a minute, but by then Zaynot will have respawned. Dark Passage very likely looking to try and contest.
Look, of course, it's going to be the 3rd Infernal Drake of the map, so if Dark Passage can get this one under their belt, it's going to go from bad to worse for this Rampage squad, but of course, finally, good to see them being a little bit proactive. We're going to see what happens. Ult just comes down. They straight up CC layer him after that. No escape. Forced to burn the heal to try and stay alive. And the tidal wave, good job by Nami to disengage.
But unfortunately, it just wasn't quite enough.
Yeah.
It was just, in all honesty, a good punish from Rampage. They realized, all right, Ezreal, you've done that twice now. The whole, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, well, shame on you. Oh, wait. It's the other way around.
That's all right. They knew the punchline to that joke anyway.
In any case.
Look, at the end of the day, they still have no way to deal with this 3-0, 209 CS.
That's a valid point, yeah.
So, like,
Black
they can
done
punish,
now as well.
They can punish the Ezreal as much as they want, but Big Daddy Elwin's going to come down with that Fiora and start slicing and dicing. And Zaynot able to sidestep that one, but forced to use the E to safety. Here comes Kirei. He is going to get stunned up. There's the ulti from Taric, keeping them safe. Teleport in the backline from Elwin. This could be huge. They're just trying to burst him down. There's the exhaust now, and Dark Passage. They have 5 members strong. Hecarim, he's not here. Roki gets smashed back into the team. Elwin picks up the shutdown gold, and they're looking to contest his tier 2 mid tower.
So this time, Zaynot, he actually uses himself as bait to draw Rampage in. They overcommit a little bit too much. The flank comes in from Elwin, but Rampage respond appropriately. They immediately throw down the exhaust. They wait for Elwin to to, in all honesty, hard commit, but he then disengages. And now you're at a bit of an impasse where Dark Passage and Rampage want to try and force something, but it is CosQ that gets the pick. He pops the Ghost, he closes the gap against Roki, he gets that ultimate down, and then Dark Passage, they net themselves the kill, and now they've got that third Infernal Drake.
Look, the Zate bait paying off for them this time around, and that third Infernal, that is going to be so huge, especially with Elwin just constantly ramping up. He does now have that completed Ravenous Hydra, and with that Null Magic Mantle, the world's at his fingertips right now.
In the European Challenger Series, we would call this a hot mixtape. Well, after picking up the 3 Infernal Dragons.
Spitting straight fire.
Oh, yeah. And now with 6 kills to 5, 4,000 gold lead in the favor of Dark Passage, things are just going to get all the more worse in these next few team fights. And I mean, when you look at the compositions, you could argue that Rampage actually have the better team fight composition. But, I mean, more AP, more AD, that's just going to help Dark Passage in any form of a setup that they want to go for. They can go for the 1-3-1, they can group up and team fight if they want, but it's very likely that Baron will be the next priority on their eyes. Extend your deep vision, look for a potential pick down onto Dark Passage. You have the Malzahar, no QSSs have been completed yet for Rampage, so you can still set up for that pick as the Ash Arrow comes out.
We hear it, but Rogue is going to be able to flash himself to safety out of that one, but
They not.
No, not going to commit for that one. They've seen this story before.
Is he baiting or is he not baiting?
I feel like, yeah, we've seen this a few times now, and it either works out for them, but they didn't have the Ashe ult to commit on that. And Rampage, their vision denial is not very good this game. We have constantly seen their jungle be lit up like a Christmas tree all season long.
And it doesn't really help that... Oh, hang on a second. The Elwin going aggressive.
He's in a 2v1. He is able to riposte most of the damage coming out. Flashes back in.
Elwin!
Proxy ulti now. Tussle. I don't know if she should be fighting in that one, mate. Getting the vitals and getting the double kill. Heartbreaking to say the least.
Elwin proving why Fiora is known as the Grand Duelist. Getting himself the 2 versus 1. This is the 2-item power spike. This is the power of the Rift Herald. And now Dark Passage, they can take whatever they damn well please. Baron is on the board. That tier 2 in the bottom lane is available. Just everything is available for Dark Passage to just solidify their lead.
Look, and that's it. A nice gentleman's agreement. The duel's a 1v1, and Paz, he brought a buddy to the party, and Elwin just makes them pay, gets the double kill, gets the turret, and now DP with the Baron priority. There's so many deep wards that they can see them coming a mile away. Here comes Dara, though. Marin in tow, teleport coming out from Paz. Stun, flashes and gets 2 members. Is it going to be enough though? Paz, he's in the fight. Great tidal wave comes out. Kirei does get stunned up. Marin trying to do his best, but Paz going to get locked down. Malefic Visions burns him down to a crisp. Xenot does go down. No, he stays alive somehow. Marin is able to get the kill with a barrel, blows him sky high, and all Dara can do is watch as his team crumble before them.
Everything was reliant on Rogu landing that exhaust. The Vladimir comes in and gets such a massive ultimate off, which could have swung the fight so easily in the favor of Rampage, but Rogu says no. There is no way you're going to net this team fight win. There is no way we're going to give you this objective, and Dark Passage are able to turn it around. Such fantastic team play. They get themselves the Baron. They've now got themselves a 10,000 gold lead, and Dark Passage, it's going to take so much for them to throw this game. You can see the setup initially from Rampage. Just keep your eyes on Roki. He's going to come in. He's going to flash over the wall. Gets the multi-man ultimate off, and then here is the exhaust. Completely denies the damage. Xenot is able to stay alive. He can just continually throw out those Qs, and then they're able to just turn the fight around as Rampage are just over-chasing. So great stuff overall from Dark Passage to be able to win that fight.
Look, and in the midst of all that action, Elwin got himself an inhibitor tower down with... Could have probably kept pushing for that inhib, but right now there's really only one way that they can lose this game, and it's just straight up throwing. So if he just plays smart, cool, calm, and collected, pretty much any tower he wants is going to melt like butter.
Certainly is. Now, for Dark Passage, they just have to keep doing what they're doing, put Elwin in a side lane. There is no one on the side of Rampage that can even consider fighting him. We've already seen him win the 2 versus 1. He is level 17, 26 minutes into the game. Oh, my word. Okay.
After all that, he just went back with a straight BT.
Okay, so he's like, I didn't have a sword in my inventory, so I figured I'd pick one up. But it synergizes so beautifully with Fiora as a champion. You have a lot of sustain already with the passive. And when you stack that up with the Grand Challenge, it just makes things so much worse. And to be honest, you don't really... I mean, the sustain and the extra AD is more than enough. So
not to
now,
mention the shield on top.
Oh, yeah. Now Dark Passage, they're going to quickly pick up this inhibitor in the bottom lane. 27 minutes into the game. This feels like, to be honest, that this shouldn't be this big of an advantage this early on.
No,
it's Dark Passage looks to try and close things out.
12 to 11,000 gold lead right now for Dark Passage. They have 3 Infernal Dragons. They've got the Baron as well. Here comes Tussle trying to go in on the back of that, but Xenon, he's able to get his way to safety. He's still alive somehow, but here comes Elwyn. He does go down, unfortunately. Elwyn not able to get into the fight, but here comes Kirei. Doesn't have the ultimate to try and knock anyone back, but that's still an inhibitor tower down. Elwyn in the back of the fight. Dara can't get the ultimate off in time to save his Vladimir. Elwyn is godlike right now, and we can see why. Not even damage through the shield. Paz does get bubbled up. Here comes Kirei. Duran challenge has been popped. So much damage being dished out by Elwyn. No one can contest him right now, and Dark Passage in the 4v5 looking to get some more. They take out Marin. Not even your Nexus is saving you right now, as this looks like it could be the game.
Elwyn does everything that he needs to do to get the 9-0-1 KDA. Is Dark Passage look to end this game.
Yeah, they're trying their darndest. Both of the Nexus towers fall. The Nexus soon to follow. 9-0-1 gets himself the first assist of the game, but ends it on that godlike status. Absolutely crushed Dark Passage. They looked amazing that game.
Well, something that you asked very early on was, what about this Fiora pick, Medius? And I was like, well, you know, it's more of a counter pick. It's not really something you can blind pick. Especially picking it into a Trundle weak early on, you can definitely snowball that lead in favor of the Trundle. But Kirei,
he sorted that one.
Yeah, he sorted that one very early on. And I mean, props to this Fiora. Elwyn definitely knows how to play the champion. Now moving forward, you have to consider whether or not this is something that teams are going to have to ban away, or whether or not people have answers for it. Because so far, all Elwyn has brought out is the Echo and the Fiora, and they banned the Echo themselves. They said, we want to take a bunch of top laners off. The Gangplank was gone, the Shen was gone, the Echo was gone as well. So he said, all right, let's go for the Fiora, we'll do it. He brings it out, and once again, he has some fantastic success with it.
Look, two DP wins, 2 Fiora games, and both of them Elwyn just did amazing on the game. Can't even handle how well he's doing right now, and not even dying, just completely taking over that entire map, essentially.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I mean, the way in which Dark Passage actually played that game was fantastic, because they consistently set up a 1-4, so they always had Elwyn in the side lane. He was always looking to just draw pressure, and he did it so many times in so many great ways. And this was really the play where Rampage lost control of everything, because they could have looked to force a fight, they could have looked to contest the Dragon, or they could have just given it away and stopped Elwyn split pushing in the side lane. And because they didn't do either, Elwyn picked up a big CS lead, he got big item spikes, and then he was able to show sort of magic like this.
Does Tussle not know how that champion works? You do not fight Fiora in that healing aura, and this was a Baron fight that kind of sealed the deal, and that excellent exhaust coming out of Rogu to keep the entire team safe from that Vladimir, because look how low they are. One fully charged E could have spelled disaster. Xenon lived on a slither of HP.
Yeah, it was really good play from Rogu. Do want to give props to him. But also the silent hero Kirei. Because,
right?
I mean, he set up the top laner for success. He rotated bot, enabled the team to get that first blood tower. He then came mid and forced the summoners out of the Vladimir. And he was just all over the map. His vision control was good. His play was very solid. A player that we did question as to how impactful he would be really did shine in this game. And just definitely feel we need to give him some solid recognition for his play.
Well, that's right. League of Legends, it's a team game. Like, sure, Elwyn went off and he went crazy, but he would have potentially lost that early 1v1 and maybe spiraled a little bit, had to wait an extra 10, 20 minutes or so before he got to that stage. But Kirei comes in at the right time, gives him over the first blood. Just incredible stuff from this whole Dark Passage roster.
Yeah. And people were wondering whether or not Dark Passage did deserve that win earlier on in the day. Well, I feel like with a performance like that, it was very well deserved. Definitely a couple misplays from Rampage, so we do have to say that arguably one of the easier teams when you compare them up against Albus Nox, but definitely still a strong performance, and once again, great demonstration of the use of that Fiora.
Well, I feel like that was one of Rampage's worst showings yet, because all the other losses they've had, they've been consistently keeping up with the enemy team competitive throughout the entire game. But you mentioned not punishing Xenon when he just eased straight on top of a Vladimir when you have the Ashe, when you have the Taric. It kind of begs the question, were they all switched on that game?
The question for me is, where is this Lee Sin once again? Because it felt to me like it was Tussle's pick.
Yeah.
Regardless of how good it is in the meta, regardless of how well it fits into your team comps, at the end of the day, it is something that he is very solid on and something that he seems to be able to make plays on. And so far from his other junglers, he just isn't having the same performance.
Look, and once again, a massive congratulations to Dark Passage for taking out Rampage, but we're going to go to a short break. We'll be right back.